well, that's a adaptation there. So we're gonna see Moonkin Windwalker Holy Paladin from AC. Obviously, I called that as well when I was muted earlier.
Yeah.
You guys didn't hear that. But
Nobody did. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be. There's no evidence, it goes both ways, Rich. I think the Roguelock Shaman, they just want to set up big one shots, on Drake, on Ceralium. Maybe if they can swap to Brain as well, but very unlikely to see that. Whereas M2KC, they just kind of want to get a CC chain onto Absturge and get big damage onto Whiskey, onto Peekaboo, maybe swap to him in a leg sweep, something like that.
All right, now we can actually see in front of us all of those compositions. This is the blind pick, but also, guys, Fulcrum Shift in the day, just 2 series left. Both of them are elimination series. There's only room for one of these teams. Who will it be? M2KC or the Golden Guardians?
So Ceralium not playing a Gushing Wounds Moonkin build makes a lot of sense when you're fighting a rogue, probably taking conflict and strife, wanting to reduce as much damage in a kidney shot as possible. So M2KC, their main goal is going to be just line of sighting the Warlock cooldowns, trying not to die while they're kidney shot, and then going forward with those solar beams. Absturge doesn't have a good way to get out of solar beam here in this matchup, so it's basically guaranteed crowd control. He could use the Spearwalker's Grace, trying to immune himself preemptively before the solar beam, but that's about it. Gladiator Spites as well from the Moonkin Windwalker team. Whiskey gets Ring of Peace back into the Spites, and he's rooted up with that Turbo Fist, but it looks like there's only 2 Spites down. Ceralium wasn't able to connect his, but even with 2 Spites, they forced the Wrathion Cloak activation of Whiskey, removing that thing from beyond. Thorns up for Ceralium. Peekaboo needs to be careful. Absturge pre-Spiritwalker's Grace that solar beam. Nice play, so he's not going to be silenced whatsoever. It's exactly what he needed to do to allow his team to ride a lot of momentum here.
Yeah, that bear form gonna make Ceralium exceptionally durable with the versatility, with the conflict and strife. But M2KC right now, they are getting rotted down, and we have seen, I'm actually curious to see if Whiskey is playing the Vision of Perfection once again. It looks like he will, realizing most teams are just going to be trying to avoid him, sitting at the pillar, getting out those consistent Infernos provides his team a ton of damage. And Drake actually in some trouble. Full Hex snuck onto Brain, gets removed by Ceralium. Nicely done there. And it looks like M2KC will recover. A good offensive push there by the Golden Guardians. But I really like these spite plays coming in from the team of M2KC. I feel like these spite plays like this, and Whiskey could really struggle here. He is caught into a stun. Peekaboo backs him up, and I think Whiskey will be able to gate. That's the only problem, is they don't have the Vortex to prevent the gateway, but that is kind of a long cooldown, so just getting through that with 1 spite, definitely a small victory, but they're going to have to wait until spite rotates back up into a minute to really capitalize on that.
Yes.
That was a really nice gate right there. Whiskey placed it down right before the assault happened, so nice escape there, but the next time that happens, he's not going to have anything. Let's see what they can get done. They get the Earthen Wall Totem forced already. That next spite attempt could be deadly. He could be pushing him behind the pillar here, looking to get some bleeds onto Brain, looking to get some bleeds onto Ceralium, and then hopefully, I think he's going to try to duck back into Absturge's line of sight, and there it is. He's going to go for a big smoke bomb play here. Drake trinkets out, uses the tank trinket as well. Did he have any CC for Brain? It doesn't look like it. Instead, double solar beam mass root here from Ceralium. He's going for the Cyclone, finds it. Whiskey could be in trouble. The paralyzed break, so they can't set up the Gladiator Spites, and that's going to be a botched attempt right there. Now Brain trinketing out of the blind, and now everybody on the side of M2KC just ducking for cover once again here.
Yeah, they want to avoid the Destruction Warlock. They're not going to win with those trades out midfield. They drop the Gladiator Spites, but Drake's in a kidney shot. Oh, he Ring of Peace him back into a stun. Nicely done there by Drake. Things from beyond are starting to spawn. Whiskey is being corruption overloaded. Stun on Absturge. Star Surges after Star Surge into Whiskey, but Vitality Conduit pulls Whiskey through it. He is now stabilized, and these Gladiator Spite burst windows are very scary for the Golden Guardians overall, but mana might be an issue for Brain later on. He gets caught in a full fear. They swap over to Drake. How much pressure can they force here? They're not even finding a Karma for a Vendetta. It's not a good trade here for the Golden Guardians. They set up a swap to Brain. Maybe they cheap shot him. I love the pressure right now from Peekaboo. Ceralium struggling a bit, going for that Frenzied Regeneration. He's actually running a Guardian Druid Azurite trade, so when he uses Mangle, he gets an extra second of Frenzied Regeneration, and it heals for even more. So he is full defense Moonkin in this spot, and he's still almost dying at the moment with even no crowd control. Shadow Fury into Hex. Cerulean has to come out of bear form to dispel it. Peekaboo not able to get the kidney shot punish on the dispel. Instead, just focusing on keeping Rupture on as many targets as possible. Just a dot and rot playstyle from the Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no, it's all good. That's one of the things about Assassination Rogue, especially with the Gushing Wounds, is you're one of the best melee at actually penetrating through that very heavy armor of the bear form. Big attempt here onto WizK. Nicely done by Drake, actually knocking WizK out of the spites, but away from the gateway. And WizK he took a moment to realize, oh, maybe I just don't walk back into it and gate. I'll just move away from the spites completely. So nice plays there by WizK, taking full advantage of that Ring of Peace, but Drake getting bursted down. Infernal Stun does come in. Big damage here by the Golden Guardians. Drake will manage to hold on with his Touch of Karma, but another small victory for the Golden Guardians. If we have just stepped foot into dampening, and the pressure for both sides has been quite high.
Brain is going to be kicked here. Do they have a kidney shot? They do. Absturge is there to back him up with some purges. A little bit of, he's actually using that Blood Fury from the Shaman, and they do force out the bubble right there. Nice push here for the Golden Guardians, forcing out that big defense on the side of M2KC as we just set foot into dampening. Full blind now onto Brain. Let's see what it can do here. Peekaboo with the kidney shot. Presumably going to go for a sap. He doesn't have his Vanish. Not going to be able to find it, unfortunately. Would have liked to see him wait a little bit with that blind, so he could have sapped off of it. His Vanish is 3 seconds left, but Peekaboo felt like he wanted to get going right there while Brain was still on forbearance. And now another kidney shot here with a spite attempt onto WizK. How is he going to respond? WizK trinkets, walks out of the spite, gets knocked back into it. Mortal Coil comes out. WizK should be okay. Still getting corrupted. He's taking so many stacks right now. But Brain as well getting soloed by Peekaboo behind the pillar. Blessing of Protection comes out. Peekaboo basically taking control over the full game there by himself. That wasn't even his vendetta. I'm not sure where this damage is coming from, but Golden Guardians basically survived that whole push onto WizK just because of Peekaboo doing so much damage on his own behind that pillar.
All right, let's see if they can keep up the pressure. Mana is still, I would say, too close to call. Even though the consistent damage is higher for Golden Guardians, it's not actually establishing a significant lead, which means in dampening M2KC could still pull this off. They continue to gun down for Brain, but Cerulean was left open, lobbing out 2 Star Surges over on a WizK, dropping down the double Mortal Coil to stabilize, but Absturge is in a Hammer of Justice. Drake is powering through with the Storm Earth and Fire. Gets feared though. Solar Beam secured. Good opportunity to use those Gladiator Spites, but they break the Paralyze, and then WizK can just use the Demonic Gateway and get out of it instantly. Drake gets kidney shot on his Flying Serpent Kick. He can't reconnect. Brain gets feared. Drake gets blasted. Where'd that damage come from? That was not a Dark Soul or Infernal. Drake has to immediately evacuate with the Touch of Karma trade, but here come the Infernals. WizK's wrapping around the corner. Cerulean dispelling the Hex, trying to avoid the kidney shot. They leg sweep Peekaboo. They're desperate to force him back, and they do. They get his Guyer's Medallion. He has a moment of panic. There's a good punish by M2KC as Golden Guardians push on top of them, but Cerulean is out of range. He can't go for Cyclones. Brain gets stunned up on his trinket. He's still being powered down. Absturge with the denial on that Wind Shear. Tries to purge off the Divine Favor just 1 second away. Drake is getting dropped by WizK. He's barely able to stabilize here. Brain is still rotting down. The entire team is in trouble right now. Golden Guardians in full control. Double stun here. Peekaboo pushing for the kill, powering through with nothing but pure pressure. Absturge right on top of him, lobbing in those Flame Shocks, getting ready to Wind Shear in 3 seconds. Brain barely holding on. That Cyclone on Peekaboo clutches it out for Brain. He stabilizes. What? How on earth? Ow! Brain is absolutely a Limp Lord when it comes to this Holy Paladin.
He faked all of the interrupt. I cannot believe Brain managed to stabilize his team there. That wasn't even the Avenging Wrath. Where did that healing come from? Drake, though, in a cheap shot. It is not over yet. Every man for himself into the diffused magic, and Drake ultimately will survive, but that is another defensive cooldown traded out. Cerulean with his Incarnation, and keep in mind, WizK, he has no gateway. He used it in the previous attempt, and now WizK could be in a ton of trouble. Drake, unfortunately that blind on Drake will immediately break due to the Infernals. A bit of a misstep there for the Golden Guardians, and a missed opportunity, quite frankly, to use that blind onto Brain when they needed it. Big damage on Drake once again, but he's got the Karma. He just needs a second to get it, and he does. Manages to get that Karma traded out, and he will be reversing that damage onto WizK as M2KC are still trying to generate pressure here on this Warlock, but it just seems like Golden Guardians, right now, everything is in their favor.
We're going to see a full fear here on the Divine Favor of Brain. Kidney Shot comes out by Peekaboo. Slightly overlapped there. I think Abster's going to follow it up with a Cap Totem. He gets killed off. Abster is there, though, to back his team up with the Purges. Divine Shield comes out from Brain. He's spamming out heals onto Drake, using his Tank Trinket. Double Miracle comes out. Whiskey looking for the Chaos Bolt. He's actually activating his Unending Resolve offensively and defensively here, as Absurge is in that CC chain. Is it going to be enough, though, to keep himself alive? They need to stop the Cyclones. Whiskey could still be in trouble. Absurge, no trinket, and he's just going to die through everything, through Unending Resolve with that extended CC chain there. And, I mean, it looked hopeless for M2KC, but they find that one CC chain and they're able to take the game.
This is something that we've seen in multiple series right now. Brain is an absolute lip.
I think, Rich, you're muted for us.
Everybody could hear me. Everybody could hear me out the stream. My mic was echoing a little bit. That's my fault. But yeah, I think that the one thing that we've just seen time and time again is the fact that Brain is a live lord, and that puts them in a position where they can truly get to these setups, and they can actually get to the point where they can find win conditions like this on the side of M2KC. What is Brain doing so well here, though, Zico, that allows them to get these opportunities that other teams wouldn't even have?
A lot of things. His bait casting, positioning, way he rotates his CDs. I mean, there was one moment where I felt like Golden Guardian should have just won the game, but Brain was able to get like I think a Divine Favor after he faked out a couple of kicks, and he was able to stabilize the lowest target, and then he stabilized himself. That's another thing, by the way, with healers. The really good healers are always healing the guy who's taking damage, and then when no one is taking damage, then they prioritize themselves or whoever is in most danger. So, I don't know, Brain just did a great job keeping his team going, but I think this pick didn't seem that convincing from M2KC. I hope that they swap to the Fire.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely something we will need to talk about, but Sid, I want to get your opinion. It's not very often that you get to talk about Moonkins. One of the first things that you did actually say about this build that we did see with the Moonkin was the fact that it is like a all-out tank Moonkin. How did you feel about having that locked in the blind pick?
I mean, I think he has to build tank against Rogue. Yesterday when we saw Morrow playing full Gushing Wounds, he wasn't into a Rogue team. Wildcard gave me if they're going to play the Ellie Boomkin into a Rogue, they're not going to be able to play the full Gushing Wounds build, I don't think. But, I mean, the main goal is just don't die, use Solar Beam, try and win in that window. If they don't, again, go back Bear Form, don't die. If you've got your Spites, try and lob the Spites out onto the Warlock. If he doesn't die, go back Bear Form, don't die. So you're going like in between playing Guardian Druid and Moonkin every time you've got Solar Beam up or you've got the Spites up. And it works for the tactic that they like to play. They like just running away from the Duster Warlocks and pushing in with that guaranteed crowd control and then running away again and then pushing in. And it fits well with their hit and run. So I'm not surprised that they were able to pull it off, but whether or not the Fire Mage is actually better, I think actually is yet to be proven. I'm not sure if it would be. I actually did like it, the Moonkin into this.
Okay, so we got Super Tease who wants to see the Moonkin again. We got Zico who's thinking Fire Mage. Venruki, where do you sit?
Well, I think the one nice thing, so I think there's pros and cons to both of them. My Canadian answer will come in, but I think the one nice thing about the Balanced Druid is you do have that instant crowd control with the Root Beam, and that can really set you up. I mean, if Absurge makes even a little bit of a misstep, then he can get caught in that crowd control chain, and also Cerulean is just going to be a lot more durable than potentially that Fire Mage really would be. There has to be a reason why they're picking this composition. I mean, I feel like if they could pick their main composition and it was the winning comp, they probably would want to lock it in, but Cerulean he's so durable on that Moonkin, and that's what a lot of teams are starting to implement in North America, is you bring in the Balanced Druid, and it's just one of those classes and one of those specializations right now where you gear really defensive, you spec really defensive, and you just play to your win condition with big instant cast damage in dampening, pardon me. And yeah, we could see what happened as a result of that. I mean, you can last long enough to eventually whittle down WizK's defensive. You only need one good crowd control on Absurge, and you can kind of just push through everything.
All right, we're headed to Dollar and Sewers as well. So, Zico, how do you think that's going to factor into this second game?
I don't think it's going to matter too much in terms of map. I feel like no matter what map we're going to see, probably going to see Peekaboo extend himself behind the pillars, look for, creating some opportunities on the healer, maybe cleaving on a secondary target, and then they're going to just take it from there. I think a smaller map, though, is, of course, going to be favoring the Golden Guardians, just because Pika's gonna have a smaller, distance to run to get to safety and to get back on his target. And same thing for Whiskey. It's a lot easier to land fears on a smaller map because people can't just outrange you. So yeah, it's gonna favor them, but I don't think it's gonna matter too much. I think the main thing is just they need to have a clean defense, they need to have a clean game, and do those in-game adaptations.
Yeah, so basically what we just heard from Zico is, yeah, this one might favor Golden Guardians a little bit, which is why we saw them lock it in, but it does not seem like an insurmountable thing for M2KC to be able to find a win on this second map.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm just thinking Absurd should maybe play Paladin, because then Spite isn't an option. They get more lockdown for crowd control. I feel like.
Think we're gonna see Spite again?
I don't think it was bad. It's just a threat, right? Then the Destro Warlock doesn't get to run you over. It's just something you've always got to worry about. It doesn't look like we're actually going to see it again. So they're going to snag a bit more damage for the team, drop the threat of the Spite, and let's see what WizK can get done now that the threat's not there.
It's really weird. I think a lot of teams, and you guys, maybe I want to know what you guys think about this, but I think a lot of teams undervalue just how scary Spite is. Like they were using Spite in that game consistently, and it didn't seem like it was doing that much, but I swear it actually puts Golden Guardians in a different mind frame to the fact that they just have to deal with that trinket.
What if they are mind gaming them to take off corruption? I don't think WizK is wearing as much corruption as he was before. So maybe you play Spite game 1, and then game 2, the other team's like, well, we have to take our corruption off because they're playing Spite, and then you don't play it. What about that?
I've always said that I don't think taking off your corruption is a good answer to Spite.
I don't think he has either, so.
What we're going to see, big setup here. Root Solar Beam coming out, full Cyclone. Peekaboo is going to Trinket and use his Tank Trinket. He's going to use his Gladiator's Medallion and his Tank Trinket right there. So he's going to be fine, but another push like that could force Abster's Trinket potentially. So decent win here so far for M2KC. Looks like Golden Guardians now wants to get aggressive, and M2KC know that. They just want to go and kite, try to stall, wait for the Solar Beam, do what Super T said, just be a Guardian Druid at this point and try to not take too much damage. And now a Cyclone attempt, but it does get shut down. Double leg sweep coming out here. WizK taking decent amount of damage. So is Brain actually. Brain gonna have to duck for cover, goes for the Divine Favor, gets a big Holy Light, should be fine. Absturge in a Cyclone, Trinkets out of that one, and Peekaboo might just die behind the pillar over there. Absturge getting in line of sight, getting a Dispel right there just in the nick of time. Peekaboo using his Cloak of Shadows. So now their Golden Guardians are already in a checkmate position. The next Solar Beam, which is up right now, could be enough to end the game. As soon as Brain has that Hammer of Justice in 14 seconds, I'm not sure if he's playing the Fist of Justice, in which case he would have it right now. If he just judges someone, they can just win the game. Hodge Peekaboo, get a Root Solar Beam on Absturge, and the only one who can do anything is WizK. Let's see if they can set it up. Ceralium is in position. Brain already in a full fear. Drake actually could be in trouble. Peekaboo looking for the sap out of the fear. Can he find it? Not going to be able to get the Garrote Silence into the cheap shot here, shutting down that offense. Peekaboo still 28 seconds though on his trinket, so it needs to be a little careful here.
They're just running away from the Dark Soul.
I think he realizes that too. He's just going to be running away on that Dark Soul. Yeah, Drake really just being safe. Kitty shot now into Ceralium, but there's still an opportunity. No one has a trinket. M2KC, they got to make a move quick. If they want to take down Peekaboo, they got about 10 seconds to do so. Peekaboo realizing it. Hammer of Justice, immediate dispel. Kind of a botched setup there by M2KC, but they're trying to make something happen. Double Mortal Coils come in. Another Infernal drops down. Who are they going after? Brain now in a kidney shot. They might be able to get the Divine Shield right here. Brain definitely doesn't want to greet it. 2 Chaos Bolts flying in, and he will immune those. But now Drake is on the run, and Golden Guardians are just running over M2KC.
They had a big window to just win the game, and they were afraid of Dark Soul. Why not just trade cooldowns and push for the win? I feel like that made more sense. Now they're falling apart as they've spent the last minute and a half running away. Brain gets spell locked, very low on health. Peekaboo moves in for the kill. He smells blood in the water. Ceralium feared on his Cyclone. He's trying to go for it, but Peekaboo is going to close this out, I think. Once again, Brain pulling off a miracle. He purges the Divine Favor. There's no kick available. He uses Blessing of Protection. Where are the purges? They purge off the Blessing of Protection, caught in a Mortal Coil. How on earth is Brain even still alive at this point? Feared on the Avenging Wrath, starting to stabilize on such low health. Still, maybe not though. If there's a kidney shot here on this Divine Favor, he clutches it out right before the purge. Kidney shot on Drake. They're swapping back to him, slowing down the pressure. I feel like Golden Guardians are in a position where, like, what just happened? How did we not kill him there? It seemed like everything was going in their favor, and now that they don't get the kill, a lot of defense is becoming available for M2KC.
What the heck is knocking Peekaboo down all the time?
Crackling
What is
Jade?
that knockback? Is it Crackling Jade? I think that's what actually saved Brain there, and it knocked him down again. WizK had to use his unending resolve right there, and it was overlapped with Absturge's trinket. So WizK is in a KO position right now. Brain as well, though, could potentially go down here if they have some casted damage. Mortal Coil comes out, Blessing of Protection, purged off here by the Fell Hunter, I do believe. Not sure. Absturge wasn't a Cyclone. Now he's going to reconnect on his target. Can purge the Freedom here, maybe. No, he's going to stack up for a double stun. Cerulean looking for the Cyclone potentially. Paralyzed into what? WizK shutting it down. Big damage here. Another Chaos Bolt. And that Waterfall is really, really making things difficult for Cerulean and Brain right there, forcing them to line of sight each other. Once again, there is a massive opening. That next Root Solar Beam in about 10 seconds for Cerulean could be enough here for M2KC to take down WizK, but likewise, Brain also should be careful here. You might need to use his trinket on that kidney shot. He uses his human ray shell, so that means for another minute and a half he does nothing. He gets garroted on his Divine Favor. Absturge, where are the purges? He gets it, going for the Hex here, gets it as well. Beautiful place here by Absturge, backing up his team offensively, but there it is. This is the setup here from M2KC. Will they take the game here?
Oh, they definitely could. It's a lot of... There's actually no defense available for WizK, but there's unfortunately no damage from M2KC. They tried to push through, but Golden Guardians easily shrug off that attempt. And now it's Drake taking huge Chaos Bolts. No Touch of Karma, Diffuse Magic Trays, using Fist of Fury, but crowd control on Brain. Drake's going to be in a lot of trouble. Lingering Psychic Shell might be enough defense for him to survive as he rolls into the wall just to desperately avoid WizK at all costs. He gets topped off, but now Brain in some trouble. Caught into a full kidney shot, still has just 3 seconds left on that Divine Shield. I think he has enough time to hold on to it. In the nick of time, he does trade out the Divine Shield off that Chaos Bolt coming in from WizK. And Golden Guardians continue their offensive push.
Trying to stay on top of Brain. Peekaboo just training him into the dirt. Cerulean being blasted by WizK. He's retreating away, gets stunned up by Absturge. Absturge lobbing in some lightning bolts, looking to get on top of the Paladin, purge off that Divine Favor, and really push for the win here. They drop the Smoke Bomb to line of sight Cyclone. Cerulean moves in, but he doesn't have time. They have to Solar Beam Chaos Bolt. They're desperate just to protect Brain at this point. He pops the Avenging Wrath. He fakes out. He gets kicked, though. Peekaboo's not going to be faked out this time around. Cerulean looking for Cyclones, finds it on Peekaboo. Wouldn't be surprised to see him trinket here. Try and go for the win. Doesn't want to risk it. Avenging Wrath up and no interrupts landed. Brain will recover. They go for a kidney shot. They're pushing for Gladiator's Medallion. Will they find it? Infernal's called in for WizK. He pops that Dark Soul immediately. Looking for a punish and a Mortal Coil power play. Brain Mortal Coil off the pillar. Chaos Bolts are massive right now. They need to stop WizK at all costs. Their line is sighting at the boxes. WizK waddling forward to get on target. Not able to find it just yet, but the entire team is being devastated. They use Sacrifice to stabilize here. Cerulean looking to retreat. Peekaboo's now on Drake. He lingering Psychic Shells. He gets stunned up, though. Absturge in a Hammer of Justice. They're trying to press for pressure on Peekaboo, but where's the damage? 1 Star Surge connects. He Cloak of Shadows on the follow-up for the trade. Absturge uses his Gladiator's Medallion. M2KC, even though they're playing from behind right now, show signs of life. They got 2 Gladiator's Medallions. Solar Beam is up. They have Touch of Death. Peekaboo needs to be careful if he's going to keep playing this aggressive.
Big push here. Let's see what he can do. Drake rolling out. He has his Diffuse Magic. Gonna activate it here. Big damage coming out. Absturge has no trinket. He does have his Spirit Link. He needs to try to pre-link maybe the next Solar Beam, which is ready for Cerulean. At any point, Absturge needs to try to get something going here. If he doesn't, Peekaboo could just get erased. Bandana is popped here. Drake in a kidney shot. Cerulean taking a lot of damage here in that bear form. Has the Thorns active. Is going to force Peekaboo to retreat. WizK with a beautiful Chaos Bolt here. Looking to push Drake over. Gets another one there. Taking a lot of damage. Full Fear onto Brain. Full Cyclone onto WizK. Cerulean looking to set up for his team. Brain now feared on the Divine Favor. Absturge looking for the Purges. Actually snaps it out. Gets the Divine Favor here. And the whole team of M2KC is slowly but surely rotting down to the pressure. Absturge now gonna get CC chain, but beautiful fear spam by WizK. He's gonna break up the chain. Absturge now gonna use that Vitality Conduit and pre-Spirit Walker's Grace on the Root Solar Beam right there. And Drake now in a kidney. I have no idea how Drain is gonna keep him alive. There is no way after that play by Absturge. gonna allow the Golden Guardians to push forward and take the game.
Very interesting game as well. This series is looking like it's promising to be a good one, and honestly, it's been a pleasure to watch every single series so far today. Only 2 of them left, this one and one more on the lower side of the bracket. Keep in mind, although this one is tied up, whichever team does win the next game is going to find themselves on match point, and whoever does lose this series will no longer be in the tournament, and this is the last cup that we're going to have before circuit play. Let's actually talk about how we get in this situation, though, Van, on the smaller map. How do we get here on Dollar End Sewers with Golden Guardians ultimately coming out on top?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest, even game 1 looked good for the Golden Guardians. We did see kind of a surprise kill coming in from M2KC, and we are seeing moments in the match where it seems like, you know, Absurge doesn't have a trinket, Peekaboo doesn't have a trinket, and if M2KC can somehow pull off a perfect crowd control chain and burst damage, then they can actually get a kill in the match. But Golden Guardians seems like they're too good at deflecting those situations, always communicating what they have, knowing their conditions for losing the game. And outside of that, I mean, the Golden Guardians just seem like they have all the pressure, all the momentum, most of the crowd control. WizK on the Destruction Warlock doing an absolutely phenomenal job. And it's just, eventually, M2KC, they survived enough setups that they just didn't have anything left. Drake got completely overwhelmed, caught into a kidney shot. There was no break, a full blind onto Brain. And Golden Guardians were able to claim that game. But like I said, even though this is a tied series, I still feel like the entire series is going in favor of Golden Guardians right now. I can't help but feel like M2KC, they need to make an adaptation.
Yeah,
A mage adaptation or an adaptation?
A what?
A mage adaptation?
Yeah, maybe.
definitely something to be looking out for as we do head to Ashmane's Fall for this next one. I actually want to go back to a moment around halfway, though, in the game, Super Tees. You started talking about, and I think this is the type of scenarios that we're going to be getting into as we continue moving forward in the series. There's a moment where M2KC decided not to trade cooldowns, and they didn't push in. And you said that you felt like it was going to have a huge impact on the game. Now that you actually did see the entirety of that game play out, how do you feel about that moment? Do you want to see at certain times M2KC get a little bit more aggressive?
It's always a gamble at this level of play where you have a situation where you could play to win, but it's not dampening. So if you don't win, you're just compromising yourself a lot. Right there, if they had just gone forward, used a sacrifice on the Dark Soul, for example, rather than running away from it, I feel like WizK wanted them to run away from Dark Soul. That was their only option. Was WizK pop Dark Soul, hope they get scared and run away, rather than push on top and just close the game, because no Gliders Medallion for Absturge. He's just going to sit Solar Beam and Hodge. No Gliders Medallion for Peekaboo. He's going to get leg swept. He's going to get Star Surged 3 times with a Windwalker punching him. I feel like there's no way the Peekaboo would have survived so long as they just landed every crowd control. So I think they should have taken the gamble, but I understand why they don't, and it's just with the way the pacing of the game is at the moment. Making a move like that before dampening is usually more risk than reward.
Okay, that's going to be the type of thing that we do need to look for, as we have seen the compositions get locked in. I know, Zico, you wanted to see a few changes. Not going to see them here on Ashmane's Fall, but what are the win conditions that we are really looking for anybody who's just tuning in right now and maybe isn't as familiar with the composition like the one that M2KC is running?
Well, what M2KC wants to do is essentially leg sweep Peekaboo behind the pillar and one-shot him, or leg sweep, WizK into a kill. But if they're going to do that on WizK, it's usually at the back end of a CC chain. Usually they get like a Paralyze into a Cyclone, a Root Solar Beam maybe before that or after that as well. And they have that really long, essentially instant crowd control chain with the Paralyze and the Root Solar Beam. Gives you so much time to actually go through those kicks and also land the Cyclone. So if you can get that long CC chain, you can absolutely take somebody down. The Moonkin as well has a lot of instant cast burst damage if you can pull up those Star Surges, and is also a good target to just kind of be tanking damage when you're waiting for those cooldowns to come back up. But in the side of Golden Guardians, it's more about just swapping around. Whoever WizK can get a bolt on, if you guys can land a fear on the healer, whoever is an exposed target basically can die on the side of M2KC. I think that's the problem with their comp right now.
So obviously we're not going to see any compositional changes on Ashmane's Fall, but if we were going to see any tweaks, whether it be in gearing or whether it be in essences, what would you expect to see change? in Ashmains.
I want to see Spite again, personally.
Yeah.
I actually like Spite a lot.
I want to see Maledict from Golden Guardians. I understand why they played the N'Zoth Tank Trinket, and I kind of get that Pika wants to run Dressed, but with K's trinkets, he's running like a Badge and a Haste proc trinket, like the Vita Charge. I think he could easily swap one of them out for a Maledict, and I think Absterge is running MP5 trinket and a healing trinket, so I guess maybe he wants to keep those as well. But for sure, I think Whiskey should at least equip a Maledict.
All right, so there.
Especially after the conversation I had with him, by the way, when I was gassing up Maledict, and he literally came to my stream and said, "Yo, stop telling everyone about Maledict." And now he's not playing it. I'm not sure what that's all about.
I mean, let's just go ahead and tell everyone what are you thinking about this trinket right now? What do you think its current place is in the meta?
Whenever you're playing a comp that usually wins with a CC chain and big burst, and you're playing into a hybrid, play Maledict as many as you can.
Would you agree with that, Femriki?
I think, yeah. Zico and I definitely have a case of groupthink, though, but I do think it is incredibly strong. I mean, you get crowd control, you throw Maledict on Ceralium. If you're going after him, all of a sudden his Frenzied Regeneration doesn't do anything, and that negating the healing is going to be even more powerful than the damage you would get from, you know, throwing an Obsidian Claw. So, I mean, that really is the thought process. I think that's why it is so strong. Golden Guardians right now, though, they're looking good. Great start. Interrupt onto Brain. Ceralium just going to be running behind the pillar, and I just love this damage. It is going to be the Spites once again, and I love what they're doing. Root Beam onto Absterge.
Why did it break?
And he does manage to break out. I have no idea how that root just broke. Maybe an Infernal proc. Super unfortunate. They're not going to be able to capitalize on that, but I like the idea.
I mean, the only thing it could have been was like a Sunfire. That's really unlucky.
Infernal.
I mean, Infernal's on WizK's team. What?
Oh, yeah, you're true.
Brain stunned up. Big damage. He's not responding. Oh, okay. Divine Shield at such low health. Brain holds out there. I mean, they picked this big map to try and protect Brain, but he's already down his Divine Shield a minute in.
I love how concerned you get for these players in these moments. You sound so concerned. It's amazing.
I like that a lot too. Brain, I don't know. He is playing this game in slow motion. Like, he never greets his cooldowns too badly, but if he waited
he's in the
one more
Matrix.
second, that second Chaos Bolt would have just killed him. So he's definitely
Neo, he's Neo.
He's definitely
mortals
in the
can't
zone,
keep
in
up.
the Matrix right now. He's in a kidney right now as well, into a capstone potentially. Gonna get killed off. Still taking a decent amount of damage. No wings available. He has his Divine Favor. Absterge could potentially purge that out. Drake taking a decent beating here. Okay, let's see it. There it is. Spites, Root Solar Beam. Okay, there it is. 2 Spites, 3 Spites. Imp! That's what it is. Whiskey summoning the Imp, dispelling Absterge, resummoning the spell. Yeah, I mean, they can go all day long, but they're not going to kill with that setup because Whiskey is a king on that Warlock, even though he's played it for like 2 weeks.
I love to see it, but Whiskey is getting bursted down. I mean, that is the problem. If you are running the imp, he actually immediately brings out the Fell Hunter as well. So really, bringing in that utility on the Warlock. This is the big incarnation from Ceralium, though, as they look to make an offensive push. And that's why WizK is taking such a huge hit of damage. Ceralium now getting feared up, and the Golden Guardians are looking to strike back. Potentially onto Drake here. Peekaboo just loading him up with bleeds. Now likely going to throw a kidney shot somewhere else. Peekaboo playing exceptionally scared right now. Maybe just doesn't want to push out into the open, but he has all his defense. I think he might have actually just kidney shot into Fist of Fury as well. That is super unfortunate if that is the case, because now M2KC, they're going to be feeling confident to push in until that kidney shot is off cooldown once again.
All right, let's see if they can keep this up. Now that they're running these Gladiator Spites, Drake gets caught in a smoke bomb. Karma's has to run away. Mortal Coil, they're just pushing through Touch of Karma. And that Lingering Psychic Shell should stall the kill for now, but Dark Soul is up. Those are big Chaos Bolts. Ceralium's a big, strong bear, though. He's just going to tank those. Heal back up with Frenzied Regeneration. Full blind. Brain not going to sit through that. That's too much crowd control, but Peekaboo looks to punish and swap over to him. Kidney shot going to be off cooldown shortly. He could pop through with a Vendetta as well. Brain's out in the open. WizK can free cast. This is a scary moment for M2KC. Golden Guardians are solidifying their advantage. Everybody is dying on the side of M2KC. A full kidney shot. He bops it off. Where are the purges from Absterge? He's trying to duck around the corner. He dodges the purges for now, but Drake gets left behind. He has to defuse Magic the Chaos Bolt. Absterge is just laying in on top of them, waiting to land a wind shear. If Brain gets interrupted on a heal here, it is going to be game over. He goes for Divine Favor, gets one heal clutched out, but now Absterge is right on top of him. He gets Hammer of Justice. Mortal Coil set up by WizK. He's switching to the Imp. He's getting ready for the Root Solar Beam. Nice little pet swap there, but they're not committing the Solar Beam just yet. Cerulean Cyclones WizK. He stalls the damage. Absterge going for a power play with that Spirit Walker's Grace Hex, but he's not going to find it, and now he doesn't have Spirit Walkers for Solar Beam. So he can rely on the Imp. Actually switched back to Fell Hunter. Solar Beam is pretty threatening right now.
Yeah, I want to see a Solar Beam here onto Absterge, and they just all in WizK. Maybe a Paralyze. There it is. Solar Beam. Now they're going to go after WizK. What is he going to do here? He's hard casting a Summon Imp with that Kidney Shot from Peekaboo. Dispelled Absterge, but Absterge still has to Trinket out of that Cyclone, I do believe, right there. And they overlap it with the Unending Resolve. No! The Golden Guardians use all of their defense. The next Solar Beam could be lethal onto WizK here, Ben.
I mean, it definitely could be. WizK is going to be in a lot of trouble, and the damage is not over yet, but Peekaboo looking to make an offensive push. Brain might be in some trouble, but they're punishing Peekaboo for overextending. He's down to around 50% health. Absterge throwing in some clutch heals as we have just entered dampening at this point in the game. Both healers doing okay on mana, but surprisingly, I mean, Absterge is way behind. I'm not sure if he's throwing out a lot of purges in the match. Sometimes that happens with Absterge, where he'll be very aggressive with his mana early on, but then as it gets low, it becomes a lot more difficult. Big damage on Drake once again. Lingering Psychic Shell. And that Lingering Psychic Shell for Drake has really paid dividends in this match.
Yep, it really has. It's got them on the back foot. Basically, start to finish here. Let's see if they can keep it up. Dark Soul's about to fade, but Brain gets stunned out. Peekaboo's pushing. Brain breaks the stun. Absterge and Peekaboo just standing right on top of Brain on that Paladin, making this incredibly difficult for him, but he is just a master on this Paladin, navigating through all this pressure from the Golden Guardians. Another full blind. Unfortunately, Blessing of Protection going to remove it. Brain valuing his Fire's Medallion. He doesn't want to get swapped to. Absterge in a Solar Beam. No Imp to dispel. Gladiator Spites are down. WizK drops the Demonic Gateway to get out of there. Things from beyond are actually spawning on Peekaboo. One going to connect onto him. WizK's getting blasted still. In other words, on such low health. Absterge is still crowd controlled. Smoke Bomb gets dropped in desperation. Peekaboo trying to save WizK. That Smoke Bomb line aside any damage from Cerulean, but bought time for Absterge to get the Spirit Link Totem down and save the team. These teams are looking so evenly matched in Game 3. It's still a tight race here. Only 9% into dampening.
Yeah, and that was the scary moment from when they overlapped that Unending Resolve and Absterge's Trinket. So Absterge's going to have that back. Going to be a while before they can find a situation like that again on the side of M2KC. And now it's all about the Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians just looking to get more and more pressure here. Peekaboo looking to go after Drake here with the Kidney Shot. He had to use his Smoke Bomb there, but it's a small price to pay to still be in the game. Drake getting dressed to get spined right there. Chaos Bolt coming out. Big damage. He's going to use that Diffuse Magic. No Touch of Karma available. Cerulean now in stun by Absterge. Nice spell here from WizK. Let's see. I think Peekaboo has his Kidney Shot as well for Brain here. Pretty sure that was a Cap Totem that stunned Cerulean, so he should have that available. Maybe saving it for Drake at this point in time. He gets Cyclone there, unfortunately, and that's going to slow down the Golden Guardians. Let's see setup happening here onto WizK. Absterge trinketing out into a Spirit Link, into a Root Solar Beam, and that's going to be the big damage there from the Corruption. WizK somehow still alive, though. Not sure how that... I don't know, Vitality Conduit and that Earthen Wall, I guess, was enough there, but I thought for sure he was going to die there. It's looking better and better, though, for M2KC here in these final moments.
Yeah, I think Spite Trinket is the M2KC. They're getting their money's worth in this one on WizK, who is still getting pressured down. Absterge is really struggling to keep him alive, burning through mana, but a big swap here over onto Drake. Very nicely done by Brain with that sacrifice to keep Drake alive, but Peekaboo's continuing the pressure. Garrote Silence on Cerulean, Garrote Silence on Brain, into a cheap shot. Peekaboo looking to set up his team, but still WizK on the back foot. Paralyzed on Absterge, they're moving forward, the full blind, and WizK should fall if he lives. This is an absolute miracle. There's no way Drestagath trades out and WizK will fall. And that game looked a lot more convincing from M2KC.
Let's talk about why as well, because M2KC is now just one game away from knocking the Golden Guardians out of this tournament. Super Tees, in your opinion, why did it look more convincing this time around for M2KC?
Gladiator Spite. Just even if it's getting denied every once in a while, just the threat of it. It's every minute. Every minute you could just get corruption overloaded. You think you're fine, you're pushing in on the paladin, you want to close the game out, spite. And then you're like, oh, and then this is actually a big threat before dampening. If your corruption gets maxed out, there's lots of ways for this team to also keep them inside of the spite. It's very important for them overall in this matchup. So hopefully they stay with the spite if they want to find victory here. That map worked out for them. It seemed difficult to attack Brain without them all being exposed in midfield, and it was easier to kind of get setups as the Moonkin Windwalker. So I think it's the small maps that are going to favor the Golden Guardians. They switch to the healer a lot. They're attacking all 3 targets, so they want as little distance as possible to make swaps. So this next map is going to be challenging, but not impossible, I think, for M2KC.
Zigo, do you feel the same way that the small maps really... I feel like that was something that was said at the very beginning of the series, that the maps, although they are going to have their impact in the smaller ones, there definitely is a favorite team in it. It seems like the maps, based off of the way that this entire series is shaping up, aren't necessarily going to be the end-all, be-all.
No, I think both teams can win on the maps where they have the disadvantage. I think, like Sid mentioned, the Golden Guardians on smaller maps are going to have a small, but it's there, a little advantage. Whereas on the larger maps, M2KC are going to have a better advantage as well. And I think it's just going to come down to who plays better, who sets up better. Both of these teams, they made amazing plays. Peekaboo did some nice smoke bombs to keep his team in the fight, and setting up some nice kills onto Brain. And likewise, we saw big plays from Ceralium, Root beaming the Trinket of Absturge, forcing out the Trinket of Absturge with the Cyclones and everything. And I think these are just 2 good teams right now playing their A game. I don't expect to see any changes on both sides, and I just expect them to, keep doing what they're doing right
Sid
now.
already mentioned Spite and how much he really did like this option and potentially wants to see it again. Venruki, do you feel the same way?
Spite, yeah, absolutely. I think even though, the thing is, when you're running the Gladiator Spite Trinket, it cannot work 9 times in a row, and then the 10th time just wins you the game. So I think just having that as an additional win condition, having that as something that WizK really has to consider throughout the entire match is definitely a worthwhile venture, because the composition that we're seeing from the move, or from the Golden Guardians, is not one that can easily deal with this trinket. They're not going to have... Peekaboo doesn't have Ride the Wind. He's not on a Windwalker Monk. Absturge doesn't have Blessing of Freedom. There's no solid answer. And, to me at least, it's convincing that at least sometimes WizK will have to sit those Spite Trinkets full. And that's just... If that happens, then all of a sudden... you can see situations where M2KC can completely overwhelm the Golden Guardians.
Right, will the Spite be enough to keep this momentum going for M2KC? This could be the last game that we do see here in this series, and it could be the one that actually does send the Golden Guardians out of this tournament. If you are a Golden Guardians fan, though, you can rest assured that they are already in a fantastic spot with their points. We've actually already done probably the hardest bit of business that we did have to do, and that is figuring out the top 8 teams from this region. That is already done. We're going to take a full look at that a little bit later on, but now we need to see who's going to take this series and who from these 2 teams will be able to make it all the way to Sunday. And Sid, it's going to be happening on Ruins of Lordaeron.
Yeah, match point, Ruins of Lordaeron. A cemetery, and a fitting final resting place if the Golden Guardians are not able to find victory. The gates have opened, and this Balanced Druid Windwalker with the Gladiator Spite Trinket is looking quite potent. Not to say that the Golden Guardians don't have a chance here. They've had significant pressure, really miracle plays from Brain to even stay alive throughout their onslaught. And Peekaboo's going to start this fight on Ceralium with a kidney shot. Brain in a position where he's not crowd controlled. Peekaboo moves over for a blind. Brain respects it, uses Gladiator's Medallion. Fair trade on his part. WizK getting swapped over to by Drake and Ceralium. Solar Beam out of Paralyze. They're going to drop the Spites. Doesn't look like it. Are they even running? I'm going to be really sad if they're not running it. So they are running the Spites. They're not dropping it.
Good.
Why didn't they spite that? I feel like that was a really good spite target. That full Solar Beam. They're still crowd controlling him. Just throw Spites on WizK. Like, why are they not throwing Spites?
I don't know, but they did get the wall. WizK's not even on his gateway right now. That would have been literally the best time to ever use it. But Maybe they didn't want Absurge to use his trinket. Maybe it was one of those things they were trying to like bait them into a false sense of security. I'm really not sure. A little bit bizarre to me, but it looks like the Golden Guardians will be able to hold on, and they're going to continue their push. Drake rolls over, trying to slow down WizK. This is the Dark Soul. Instead of just running away, he's going to use his Spear Hand Strike and that Windwalker Monk Disruption to try to slow down WizK during this offensive moment.
Nice Ring of Peace right there on Absurge's heal. Do they have any more follow-up, though, is the question. I do think, actually, they have a Paralyze here for Absurge. I think Drake is going to go for it soon. Brain using Blessing of Protection to get out of the kidney shot. So around getting in position, you can expect Drake to use it at any point here. Looking for the Paralyze. There's a double leg sweep. Where is the Paralyze, Drake? Not going to use it because of that Earthen Wall Totem, I assume. Holding on to it a little bit longer, but that kidney shot of Peekaboo is coming off cooldown, and it's not going to be great for them. Brain now is going to get caught up in that kidney shot behind the pillar potentially, so that's going to make their offense a lot worse. Cerulean also kind of dipping down here, and there it is. Finally, Paralyzed double root solar beam. Let's see, where are the spikes, gentlemen? WizK almost dying. There it is. Hodge on the trinket. Smoke bomb gets dropped defensively. There is the Vitality Conduit keeping him alive for now, but WizK can still go down here. There's the Blinding Light. If Cerulean can get anything, that could just be the game. He fake casts, doesn't get the counter spell, but still they force pretty much every cooldown in the game here on the side of Golden Guardians with that push. Beautifully done there by M2KC.
Oh, I don't know if the add-on is updated. Cerulean is the only one wearing a spike, so I don't know if he didn't get the memo or if it's just not updated. But right now, Golden Guardians actually in a good spot, even though that was a scary moment. They got Divine Shield from Brain in this assault. They're going after Cerulean. They switch right back to the Holy Paladin. That Holy Paladin is their main focus. Can Brain pull off a miracle here? Chaos Bolts from downtown. That's a double. Brain down to half. Infernals to follow it up into a Shadow Fury on the Flying Serpent Kick. Beautiful punish there. Drastic got dropped by Peekaboo. Absurge is right on top of Brain, lobbing in those lava bursts, looking for an instant purge on any of his defense. But Cerulean Cyclone comes in clutch, but gets reflected on the second one. Nice punish with that Nether Ward, but the Blessing Protection at the cart protects Brain. Absurge not in position to remove it. Peekaboo switching targets for now. Brain survives once again another assault, and
that coil path.
All right, WizK with Dark Soul right now finds one Chaos Bolt onto Cerulean, but he just shrugs it off. Actually takes no damage whatsoever. I'm not sure what that was, but all right. Absurge now on the midfield as well. Going to be looking to position himself in a way where he might even want to go for a drink. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, though. I don't think there's enough time. But if they give him that moment, they'll probably try to capitalize on that. Paralyzed now on Absurge from Drake. Big setup here. Drake actually uses Transcendence. Was still in the open. Luckily, didn't get punished on that. Full Root Beam now on Absurge as they're making a big push on WizK. Immediate unending resolve, and they might be able to just push through. There is no trinket. Full Blinding Light. Big all-in setup here from M2KC, and it pulls. It definitely pays off for them. They're going to be claiming this series. And to me, M2KC in this series, they started off slow, but as it progressed, they were just getting better and better. And